Hello everyone, welcome back to the Creative Shelf, and you are joining me on a beautiful twilight evening in Brussels. And yeah, I am just really loving the vibe right now. I decided to do for this midweek's pop-ups a topic which has been on my mind for some time, and that's diversity. But before I spring into all of that, I just want to first of all say welcome back to everyone. And yes, this shelf is getting decked out, as some of you already noticed. Um, I am really just kind of like someone. I grew up in a in a Hindu family, and from around when we get to Diwali all the way into Christmas in the UK, just we would deck out the house basically, well, the downstairs living room. And I just can't help myself, I started to put up the strings already, and as you will go through the next 2 or 3 months, you're going to see like this get completely kind of like taken over. But I think that's the joy that I have at this time of year. And yeah, I'm someone that likes to like light it up and bring some light into the house. So yeah, so welcome back and good to see you all here. And for this week's topic, I thought, yeah, I'm going to touch upon the topic of diversity. But we talk a lot about diversity in cards, right? We talk about the color of skin, we talk about phenotypes, we talk about abilities and disabilities in that sense. We talk about body shapes, and we talk about all these different things. Now we're also talking about age generations, which I really want to see as well. But what intrigued me this week was my realization of diversity within the tarot community, because I think that's as important as the diversity within the cards. And I hear a lot about different forms of diversity in terms of swathes of people. But I thought I would couple that with some of the tarot tubers that I've been listening to lately, because they come from backgrounds and perspectives that just I don't have. I didn't grow up in that kind of like environment. I don't have those experiences. And as they talked about their decks or readings and so forth and their experiences, I kind of like was just really intrigued. Just it's not always about compulsively buying that deck. It's for me, it's also about like what they liked about it, how they've used it, their relationship with it. Yeah, so just a lot of stuff. So the first tarot tuber that I thought I would talk about today is someone that I came across, I think already in August. I've been stalking her basically. But yeah, I absolutely love, I think I've got to be careful with pronouns. So I'm going to just say they. And that's Marine of Ways of Your Soul. Marine is a French tarot tuber, but living somewhere on some tropical island. And if you don't know Marine yet, they have the coolest nails ever in the world. Well, also like the whole makeup is fantastic and beautiful. But I was completely intrigued by this person's understanding and grasp of color. That's what I want to start off by saying. So yeah, I started seeing like I think it was their collection of their favorite tarot deck, or I can't remember what it was, or was it a VR to someone? But before I knew it, every kind of like deck that I was seeing, there was just the images and the use of color. And when I saw one of their readings, just again the decks and their colorfulness was what just completely blew me away. And then I kind of like just got hooked onto kind of like understanding Marine a little bit better, or like what brought them to the tarot world and that kind of thing. And so if you haven't checked them out yet, I would really encourage it, because for me what helped me was that I do have some understanding of the French culture living in Belgium, of course, but what really helped me was to understand somebody in terms of their journey and the location that they live at, because all of a sudden it was a completely different kind of like perspective. Some of you might know Marine is living on an island in the tropics somewhere, so even more intriguing. But just for me to just have that kind of like background was like, wow, I wonder what that's like. Has that influenced their understanding of tarot, their love of tarot, or the colors and the images and so forth? So yeah, so I just want to say that was somebody that really opened my eyes up a little bit. The next person that I want to mention, and I wasn't expecting it, but I came across their channel, is Westar Tarot, and I think their name is Liz. I hope I've got that right. But I have been really blown away by their collection, and the reason why I'm saying that is because they talk very often about the buying the deck, but the era that they bought the deck in, the relationships and the community around them at the time. And what I picked up was a really interesting, strong feminist viewpoint, or the viewpoint of somebody who knows very well indigenous cultures or conflicts and so forth that can arise from communities in the indigenous areas in North America, as I understand. And I was just really, really blown away by like a perspective of an era, a time, and communities that I just don't have that connection to at all. And then the decks that they liked. So all of a sudden, for example, I think one of their decks that they love is Mother Peace, or another deck that they love is Tarot de Saint Croix, or another one that I think they have is Dark Days. I think that's a square deck, a black and white square deck. And they've also like modified their decks in very interesting, intriguing ways. But what blew me away was like their thought process and why they fell in love with those decks, and what was happening at the time in terms of women's circles forming and that kind of thing. So for me, it was just really, really, it was again eye-opening. It broadened my understanding, not just of them and their communities and so forth, but again, my understanding of tarot, because I only see tarot through, of course, my own personal lens normally. So when I watch somebody talk about their collection and what draws them back to it, or why they've decided to keep a deck when they originally didn't want to have it, you know, and their thinking and their thought process, behind it, it again gave me kind of like, okay, new ideas, fresh ideas. So yeah, that was Westar Tarot, and forgive me if that person's name is not Liz. I think it's Liz. But yeah, and then finally, I just want to mention in terms of perspectives and really having my again understanding is, I saw Katie Flower's video finally. I think it'd been done years ago, and I think I might have even seen it a long time ago. But anyway, I just went and checked it again recently, and that's their thoughts around why they don't like animal decks, or they're not drawn to animal decks. And I'm paraphrasing here, so I might get Katie's words wrong, but her thought wrong, sorry. But what intrigued me was that there was the argument was that, you know, Katie is not so much drawn to animal decks because of, first of all, they're not reflecting the surroundings that they are in, but also because of the fact that it's true that a lot of the times humans project emotions and their own thought process onto animals, and that's actually not real. So it's true, I've had that where I've thought my cat looks like, you know, it's sad, and the vet's like, no, it's not sad, I think you're just projecting it onto the cat, it's not miserable at all. So it's interesting how that definitely happens, and therefore the correlation of that into a tarot deck. But what for me was really eye-opening, and that's why I'm talking about diversity again here, is, you know, it's the thought process behind it. It's it's not the rationale or there is a systematic thought of, well, that's why I'm not drawn to animal decks. And it was really good for me to hear that thought process, you know, about the fact that Katie was saying, I live in Australia, like some of these animals I don't relate to, basically. And it was like, yeah, of course, you know, and for me it was just really good to hear that, you know. I definitely have that when it comes to flora and fauna from certain parts of the world, where I've seen a deck thinking, okay, I don't know any of these flowers, because they're like, I don't know, some North American area, which really I'm not connecting to at all here in Europe. And that happens sometimes. So yeah, that was really interesting. And then finally, I want to talk about a video that I saw last night while modding. So basically, as I've already like chewed off. So it's Anna from Astral Lady Tarot. I understand that her soul deck kind of thing is the Triomphe de la Luna, paradoxical, and I think, yeah, she's got it in purple, basically. But anyway, I think I've already chewed off her ear a little bit, saying that, oh, I'm not sure if I want to get it, that kind of thing. And I hesitate with stuff like that because, of course, you know, I'm just really mindful of the fact that, A, if I get a deck, is it just going to sit on the side? Because, as some of you might know, or you all know, Triomphe de la Luna is a Tarot de Masse system. It's not the Rider-Waite-Smith system. So of course it is about making sure, for me, I invest that time to get to really know and understand that system. Now, to an extent, I have been able to read with playing cards from like 6-7 years ago when I first began tarot. I have learnt to use playing cards, but still it's a different system, the TDM. So before I thought, yeah, I'll just go and order it. And this is, by the way, an absolutely gorgeous deck. It connects me back to Deviant Moon, which I absolutely adore that deck. I'm falling in love with that deck even more now this year. But the Triomphe de la Luna connects back to that, Patrick Valenza's art. So I was just thinking, okay, before I make an investment of about 80-90 euros, which is about 100 USD basically, I better think before I do this. And then and check things basically. So I would look for walkthroughs and reviews and that kind of thing, and I came across Derek John Thomas, and he, or I think it's a he, I think that's the pronoun, has done the most amazing walkthrough of that deck, because they have the standard Triomphe de la Luna, but they also have all three paradoxicals, the violet or purple, the blue, and the rose. Basically, they have all three of those paradoxicals, and on top of that, they placed a regular Tarot de Masse, like the CBD version, so that we got a really good comparison with the original of the Tarot de Masse CBD version, and then the Triomphe de la Luna in all of its different versions. And it was a walkthrough of each and every card, plus the bonus cards of the Triomphe de la Luna. So we're looking at like a really long video, and you may not want to watch all of it, but I did, and I really enjoyed it. I was modding one of my decks. I was just like watching along while modding one of my decks and just listening to Derek basically. And what I really loved was listening to their response and their thoughts around the different cards. And of course, as I understand, Derek is an expert in the Tarot de Masse. So, you know, I think he has his own Facebook credit group. I think I'm part of it also. So, you know, it's really, really interesting to have that thought process. But of course, you know, they live in a different part of the world and have a different approach again to tarot. And why I mentioned them is because after I watched that video, and that was really late in the evening, you know, like the OCD compulsive that I am, I went and clicked on one of the other videos, which was, and this is why I want to talk about it, is that they've done a VR to Peekaboo Rose, Julie from Peekaboo Rose, called, and the video is about what the F is a soul deck. So that's the hashtag, what the F is a soul deck. And then Derek John Thomas has done his VR to that, which is what I ended up watching. So I've never watched the original, by the way, but they really speak about this hunt for the soul deck and why it can then get in the way of not really basically enjoying what we have and actually finding that soul deck, which is amongst what we have anyway. But he articulated it so well that I really just loved watching it, and it was just a really good perspective to have, and a thought process, and again, yeah, so I kind of like wanted to talk about diversity, not from just all the kind of like different aspects that we talk about when it comes to cards, but also about the community and the people that show the cards that they're falling in love with, or the decks that they're falling in love with, or the ones they're not even, and saying, not for me, because that is a part of the conversation, and that's part of what I think always helps. You know, I think as time has gone on, especially in the last years, following this pandemic and so forth, some of the divisions are really, really strong, and it's I can see it when it comes to images, and I can see it when it comes to the vocabulary even. But when I also, what I also think is really important is embracing that kind of like voices that help us understand a topic, or something like tarot, because otherwise it's all going to be just like really bland basically. I don't know how else to put it, but like I don't want to watch the same tarot tubers saying the same thing about the same deck. I'm going, okay, I'm not getting anything further from this. So I don't know if this topic really makes sense to everyone, or it helps. Currently I'm just going through a really patchy time in terms of personal development. Well, it's not so patchy, but it's just deep, it's a bit low, and it's a bit heavy. And I was thinking about kind of like, you know, what are the decks that I will go to at this point in time. And I think and I know I need to do a VR to Dawn Michelle of Boho Tarot, because she does have a Hearth and Homes she has a Hearth and Homes hashtag going around, which I'm loving all those videos, and I'd like to do one too. One of my Hearth and Homes deck is currently still wrapped somewhere, so I'm not going to say any more. But yeah, once I can get to all of the rest of my decks, it will be great. But I kind of like was thinking about what are the decks right now that are the voice. I know I'm gonna steal this. By the way, if any of you know, Boho Tarot does also a Facebook group, and currently in the Facebook group we're doing a challenge. So if you're intrigued, join the Facebook group, and you'll see the tarot challenge prompts and all the beautiful kind of like, you know, direction that Dawn Michelle has given for this month's prompts. And the whole challenge is called Lifting the Veil. And the deck that I have been using, and I wasn't sure if I should, but I am gonna show it to you. So just give me a moment, because I'm gonna have to get up now in the middle of my video. So get it? The deck that I've been using for this, and I'm back again. So there you go. I won't save it to the end of the month. I'm going to already show you now. Is Patrick Valenza's Deviant Moon. So most of you know this deck, but if not, here it is. This is called the Deviant Moon Tarot by Patrick Valenza. This is a borderless edition, US games, mass market, retails around $20 US, something like that. Available on Amazon and so forth. I have edged mine in black. You might not see it there, but just a very nice plain black. And if anybody's interested, like, oh, what did you use, kind of thing, I'm going to keep it really simple. I used marker pens from the dollar store. So and I used also tissue paper to wipe off the access as I did it, but there was some bleed through, but that's fine for me. It doesn't really matter so much with this deck. But this is the deck that I've been using, and the reason why I brought it up when I said that I'm working through some heavy things, and you might think, well, why are you using a really heavy deck, kind of thing. I'm going to say this now. This deck for me is not so much heavy. It's just really, really comforting. Which I know some people are going to go, what? Like, it's a shadow deck. It's not a shadow. I don't know if it's a shadow deck for me necessarily. I think it has all 360 degrees in it. It has the light as well. I don't know how else to explain it. But this deck feels like, and because we are talking about diversity, I want to, it's been on my mind, but I'm going to say it and probably do another video on it as well at some point. We do talk about diversity, and of course when it comes to, in decks, and when it comes to images, what we see. But I want to also mention the diversity in terms of mental health. And what I really, really love about this deck is it shows a part of the mind which I don't think is portrayed very often in images. It's kind of like the side of us that people want to hide, and I don't know why, because if I want diversity, I also want diversity in terms of mental health, emotional health, things that we might struggle with. And I don't want to call it the shadow either. I get really annoyed with that. It's all of it, you know. It's all of that is also a part of me. The darkness is a part of me. That's how I feel, that's how I think. So I don't want to shove it in a corner. I don't want to shove it to 1 month of the year, and I don't want it to sit there thinking this is a shadow deck. It isn't. It's a deck that's beautiful, and the cards from this have been really, really touching. You know, the emotions that are coming through are just, yeah, it's a deck that's really taking me to a new place, basically, and I'm very, very grateful to it. So that's why I've been intrigued with the Trionfi della Luna, because it's the same artist, and of course I am going to be intrigued then. And I think there's a lot for me to learn if I use the Trionfi della Luna. I think I will go further in terms of that, but you know, I really want to see more diversity, including what some people might think as grotesque or ugly or demonic or anything like that. I want to see more of that actually in decks, portrayed in a well-rounded way, which I might sound strange, but I want that to also be as normal as like the butterflies and the kittens, which I like, by the way, as well. You know, you've seen me pull out Hay House decks and say, I'm loving these right now. But I think that this has just an important place in the full spectrum of light and dark, not just shoved in the corner. And sometimes I feel like when I look at these images, it really is about beings that have been in some way ostracized and put to the side. And yeah, so maybe that's my projection on it, but you know, she really is like this deck, I'm calling her she, I don't know why, but she's a master storyteller for me. She's she shows me things. She also helps comfort me. She gives me perspective. She gives me a laugh. She gives me all the creatures that I want to see in my life. Maybe I want to see more actually, but you know, like she gives me kind of like she helps. How can I put it? She sheds light. That's a tongue twister. She sheds light on areas of my mind that you know, needed that light, and I'm really glad for that. And they don't need. I mean, like, look at that hermit. Look at that hermit, and look at, like, you know, they've been left with one fish basically. I mean, like, it's pitiful. It's in the corner. It's hiding. You know, but you know, when I look at her again, you know, and she's screaming, maybe she's just waiting, you know, she's just waiting. She needs this time. She needs this time to be, and like, I love the fact that the body shapes are different and strange, you know. I like the fact that they don't always make sense. I mean, look at this one. Look at this one where we think everything has come together, and then you've got the, you know, I don't know who it is underneath holding up that chess table basically. Is this about having all of our material wealth at a cost? Or maybe not. Maybe in the world of Deviant Moon, this is fine. This is okay. And I especially love the ghouls that are basically the chess pieces on this. So, you know, if this art intrigues you, if you want to try something and you're new to tarot, and you know, of course, you know, this is a deck that's going to might frighten some people, but yeah, I just think, I mean, look at that Piscean energy there. I love this deck, and I love the boredom that I see and the apathy. I've got the little guidebook that comes with the deck. I would love to get the full color book because this is such a great deck. This is the front cover that we see very often. And this is all of them coming together. I mean, this is what it's like when we all work together and then we're all working on each other, and it just looks so strange, and I love it because it makes me think again, like, you know, when we all work together, what are we actually doing? and they're all chiseling away at each other basically. Yeah, and I think there's a deck in here. There's a card, sorry, in here. I just want to get to it quickly, actually. I spoke about it before. Here she is. Here she is. The Six of Cups. I mean, has anybody seen a more odd Six of Cups? I mean, this is Punch and Judy, basically, that they've reanimated in full Deviant Moon style. Patrick Vallance has done that. And, you know, and the story of Punch and Judy is not as nice as you might think. There's a lot of beating up, basically, going on there. And the people are enjoying it, and this is meant to be nostalgia, right? This is meant to be nostalgia and kids enjoying themselves. And so in the world of Deviant Moon, it is just or you know, this is the Apprentice card, working away and toiling away. And so if you're interested in this kind of art and you want to try something, I would recommend this, or go straight for the Trionfi della Luna. Who knows if you're a Tarot de Marseille person already. But yeah, this is the deck that I've actually been really sitting with and bonding with quite a bit actually this month. So that's my midweek pop-up, which is long actually this week. I'm hoping you're all enjoying your week so far. And yeah, and I'll see you all soon at the weekend. Take care now.